So dear students, so I'll be taking a class on coagulants. So what is coagulation? So it is a process that is involved in our body to bring about clotting. So to prevent the bleeding from our body through the cuts or the injuries. So it's also known as hemostasis. Okay. So there are various coagulation factors in our body. So factor 1 to factor 13. So the first factor is fibrinogen, the second factor is prothrombin, the third factor is tissue thromboplastin, the fourth is calcium ions, the fifth is proacelerin, the seventh factor is proconvertin, then the eighth factor is AHF, the ninth is plasma thromboplastin component, then the 10th is TORT factor, the 11th is plasma thromboplastin antecedent, and the 12th factor is Hedgemann's factor, and 13th is fibrin stabilizing factor. So these are the various coagulation factors. So we are not interested in the functions of these individual coagulating factors since it is medicinal chemistry. So this is just to brief you about the coagulation factors. So the mechanism of hemostasis, that is to prevent the bleeding. So the first mechanism is through vascular spasm. So the damage to the smooth muscles. So there will be vascular spasm, then platelet plug formation, and followed by blood coagulation. So there are two pathways. One is intrinsic pathway, one is the extrinsic pathway. So the intrinsic pathway involves the activation by surface contact with foreign body. That is a contact pathway. So any foreign particle that comes in contact with the blood, the fibrin clot is formed. So all factors and activators are contained within the intrinsic factor, the blood. So all the clotting factors are there in our blood, responsible for clotting when the blood is kept in a glass tube in vitro. So the blood undergoes even coagulation when it is outside our body, in vitro clotting. So all these factors are known as the intrinsic pathway. Extrinsic pathway, it is activated by thromboplastin. Then as a consequence of trauma, then tissue damage, then certain tissue factors leaks into the blood from the damaged cells. This is known as the extrinsic pathway. Understood? So the rate limiting step in the coagulation cascade, the activation of factor 10 converging pathway. So here we have a small little chart to depict the mechanism of blood coagulation. So this is just for your understanding as such. Okay, so this is the extrinsic pathway, this is the intrinsic pathway. Understood? So you can see the various calcium ions, how they are involved. Then prothrombin is converted to thrombin in the presence of calcium, and also in the presence of factor 13 and fibrinogen, clot is formed, a loose fibrin thread, the stabilized fibrin thread. So a clot is formed here, you can see it. Okay, so this is just for your understanding of how the clot is formed. Understood? So next is coagulants. So how do you define a coagulant? So these are the substances which promote the coagulation and are indicated in hemorrhagic states. Okay, so you can get the coagulating factors by whole blood transfusion. So our blood contains the clotting factors. So fresh whole blood or plasma provide all the factors needed for coagulation and are the best therapy for the deficiency of any clotting factor. Also they act immediately. The other drugs that are used are mainly vitamin K. So vitamin K is present in our colon. It is produced by the intestinal flora. Understood? So as such we do not have the deficiency of vitamin K, but the persons who are continuously on antibiotic therapy, they may have the deficiency of vitamin K. So it is one of the most important clotting factors. So vitamin K is also obtained from the plants. So they are known as phytonadione or phylloquinone. Okay, that is K1, vitamin K1. So vitamin K3 is synthetic. So it is fat soluble vitamin. Vitamin K is fat soluble. So the fat soluble vitamin K3 is menadione, acetomenaptone. Then the water soluble is menadione sodium bisulfate and menadione sodium diphosphate. Okay. So coming to the vitamin K, it is a fat soluble dietary vitamin required for the synthesis of clotting factors. So the chemistry and the source of vitamin K has a basic naphthaquinone structure with or without a side chain at position 3. The side chain is of K1 is phytyl and K2 is prenyl, while the K3 there is no side chain. So you can have a look at the structure of vitamin K. Understood? So this is the basic structure of vitamin K with substitutions at R. Okay. So how does it act in the coagulation process? So here is a brief cyclic depiction of the process involved. So it also brings about the gamma carboxylation of the coagulation factors 2, 7, 9 and 10, and it's converted into the active form by gamma carboxylation. Okay. So what is the dietary source? So this is just for your brief knowledge. So this is obtained from green leafy vegetables such as cabbage, spinach, liver, cheese, etc. Okay. So daily requirement of vitamin. So it is as I told you earlier, it is produced by the colonic bacteria. So it becomes available to our body. So the daily requirement is around 3 to 10 micrograms per day. Okay. External source may be sufficient. However, the total requirement of in the case of an adult may be around 50 to 100 micrograms per day. So action of vitamin K, it acts as a cofactor at the late stage in the synthesis by the liver of the coagulation proteins, that is prothrombin factors 7, 9 and 10. Then utilization, the fat soluble forms of vitamin K are absorbed from the intestine via the lymph and require bile salts for absorption. While water soluble forms are absorbed directly into the portal blood, an active transport process in the jejunum has been demonstrated for K1, while K2 and K3 are absorbed by simple diffusion. Okay, deficiency of vitamin K occurs due to liver disease, obstructive jaundice, malabsorption, long-term antimicrobial therapy, okay, so which can alter the intestinal flora. So adverse effects, pain, swelling, soreness, then at the injection site may occur. So temporary flushing, then taste changes, dizziness, sweating, rapid heart rate, shortness of breath. Okay. So uses of vitamin K. So vitamin K is used for prophylactic purpose and the treatment of bleeding due to the deficiency of clotting factors in various situations. In the dietary deficiency of vitamin K, prolonged antimicrobial therapy, obstructive jaundice, then malabsorption syndrome, liver disease, that is liver cirrhosis, then viral hepatitis. Okay. Then in case of newborns and overdose of oral anticoagulants. So overdose of oral anticoagulants. So vitamin K acts as an antidote. It acts as an antidote. So here we have the structures of the various vitamin K, that is menadione, acetomenadione, phytonadione, okay, and acetominophtone. Okay, so these are the structures. Okay, thank you students, thank you.